Hey guys, Andy Marcoux here from CoachmansDelight.com, and I want to talk to you a little bit today about hitching sequence. Now, we're going to have to go over this with different types of carriages, and today I want to talk about the single horse put to a carriage with marathon shafts. So my subject today is the lovely Mimi. She stands wonderful, so that makes her a really great candidate to help me do this video. Just so you know, there is a person over there. Kathy? No, you're gonna have to walk up and let them know that you're really there. Keep going, poke your head in, give a little wave. Okay, now you can go back to your station. Alright, so when I have somebody helping me with a horse, and if they're standing at my horse's head, I'll just let you see. I have her standing 2 or 3 feet out in front of the horse. She doesn't need to be there to actually physically hold the horse. She just needs to be there if the horse decides to get kind of unsteady and move a little bit. So where I'd like to start is by showing you the proper hitching sequence and the proper unhitching sequence, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how not following those sequences can actually put you at quite a significant risk. So let's just start by hitching up. What I'm going to do here is, if I move over, I'm going to take my shafts first. I'm going to get both of those in place. What that's going to do is allow my carriage to follow the horse wherever she moves, if she moves during my hitching and unhitching process. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hitch up my traces. That's going to allow the carriage to move forward with the horse. And then finally, I'm going to hitch up the breeching and her holdback. So let's just take a look at how that process looks, and we'll go over unhitching, and then I'll talk about some of the risks of not following a good hitching sequence. Here we go. Standing on the right side of the carriage, so I might as well just start with the right shaft. Now, everything that I'm doing, I'm trying to do in a relatively efficient manner. I don't want to spend a lot of time with the carriage partially hitched. If she's either fully unhitched or fully hitched, that's when I'm safest. Move over to the second side to get the second shaft. And since I'm already standing on this side of the horse, I'm going to start with a trace on this side of the horse before moving to the other side. Now I've got both traces hooked up, and we've got steering, we've got locomotion. Now I need to make sure that the carriage doesn't run up into the horse. You can see without the breeching attached, that shaft is pushing that tug quite a ways forward. I'll give the carriage a little push back, and now I'm going to clip in my holdbacks connecting up the breeching. I'll do the same on the other side. Now we're all set. We've got the horse fully hitched, ready to drive. That carriage is going to follow her. It's going to work with the harness to support her and help her move the carriage or slow the carriage, steering, everything like that. So let's just say that we've gone for a lovely drive. We had a wonderful time. This is the place where actually you're probably a little bigger risk, because what happens is you just had a great time with your horse. You're relaxed, you're happy, you feel a lot better about the world because you had a great drive, and this is where complacency sets in. Well, maybe you might be tempted to just go ahead and unhook all of the right side and then unhook all of the left side. That puts you at significant risk. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Let's just start by following the proper order. Mimi, head up, please. Good girl. So we're going to follow the exact opposite order that we followed when we were hitching up. So I'm going to start with the holdbacks hooked to the breeching. Then I'm going to move to the traces, and then I'm going to finally take the shafts out. And I'm going to follow this whole sequence symmetrically. So let's do that real quick. First hold back. second holdback. Now I'm already on this side of the carriage. I'll take the first trace undone. Second trace undone. And now we're ready to go ahead and undo the shafts. And now we're fully unhitched, ready to bring the horse back to the barn. Now, you may be curious, what's the difference? You know, what if I unhitch all of one side and then all of the other side? Where is the risk? Well, when these shafts are down, for example, a shaft can help keep that carriage from running into you. So if I have the shaft in the engaged position and the horse pulls the carriage forward, what's going to hit me is the shaft, and it's going to glance me away from the carriage. If I have the shaft up, but I still have the trace attached to the horse, what's going to happen is as that horse goes forward, she's going to pull this carriage right into me, and it's really easy to get knocked down by the carriage, end up underneath the carriage, and end up really getting injured. Not to mention the horse is going to go off to greener pastures, break a lot of my equipment, probably hit my car, because that's what they like to do. And so you really put yourself at significant risk when you're not following a good hitching and unhitching sequence. So the easy thing to think about is, well, the shafts provide steering, and you really want that carriage to always follow your horse wherever he may or may not go. The traces provide locomotion and allow the carriage to be drawn forward. And then finally, the holdbacks slow the carriage and stop the horse from having the carriage run into him. Now, some people think, oh gosh, but if the holdbacks allow that carriage to not hit the horse, why wouldn't I just get those hooked up right away? The problem with that idea is, if I have my shaft hooked to the horse, and I just have my holdback hooked to the horse without the trace there to draw it forward, what happens is that horse moves off that way. Now, of course, I'm not going to ask her to move because that would be kind of sketchy. This is already kind of sketchy, but she's a sweetheart, so we're going to get away with it. But let's imagine that horse moving forward. The carriage gets drawn back, and you can see that this tug gets pulled back. It's going to start pulling the saddle back, and this holdback is not going to do us any good whatsoever. Now, because I don't have the shaft down on the other side, why, if she backs up and the carriage moves forward, all it's going to do is pull this breeching around, and it's going to do nothing to keep that carriage from hitting the horse. So we really want to make sure that we don't hook these up first. In fact, it's actually conceivable that you could just drive with just traces, allowing just the friction of the shaft in the tug to slow the carriage. It's not the best way to drive your horse. It actually makes the horse have to slow the carriage from the saddle, which then they have to pick their head up, they have to go on the forehand. Wow, a whole nother video worth of philosophy in talking about how carriage and harness works. But this is just a really quick video for you to understand why following a proper hitching sequence and unhitching sequence really will make you safer. So that's it for right now. I think, honestly, I'm going to put Mimi back in the barn because she's already worked today. I'm no dummy. Give her a little something to do before we ask her to stand around for a bunch of little videos. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.